Selamat siang. Welcome to the latest news from Bali and Indonesia. This is July 15th, 2022, and my name is Bruce. And it is another lovely day in Singaraja in Kampung Bugis, and well, I hope it's lovely wherever you are. And what is the temperature today? 30.2 degrees Celsius. Wind speed is 11.4 kilometers per hour. And it's up and down today. And the humidity is an actual low, 59%. I have a mask on today. Why do I have a mask on? If you watched the last video, you know masks are back. And yes, outside, if you are wandering around in the city, you need to have a mask. If you're way out in the middle of nowhere, nobody's around you, you can get away with it. Is this going to be enforced? I don't know. If you haven't been wearing a mask and you've been stopped and asked to put one on, leave a comment. Or if you've been able to get into shops and not have a mask on, leave a comment as well. I'd like to know how the mask thing is going. Are people taking this seriously or not? Because the focus today is on coronavirus again. If you are relatively new to this channel, this used to be called Bali COVID-19 Update. It was for 2 years, basically. And then I switched when things got better and everything started to open up. And it's back. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, booster shots and the numbers continuing to go up, not only here in Indonesia, but around Asia, around the world. And that is not a good sign. And I'll talk about why. Okay, so let's get started with the numbers. National new cases, 3,584. We're still over 3,000. National recoveries, 2,872. National deaths, 9. Bali new cases steady at 125. The other day it was 125. It is 125 again. Bali recoveries, 37. Bali deaths, 0. A viewer asked about the testing in Bali. I have no idea. But epidemiologists have been telling the government they need to test more, and so I'm guessing that in Bali the same situation. Testing is not up, and so the numbers are quite possibly higher than they're being reported. And so that is not good news. We are still at level 1, and we're supposed to be at level 1 until August. Could that be changed? Yes, it could be changed. The government changes things when they feel like it. If they think that the situation is rapidly increasing in terms of a surge, they may roll back and go to level 2 or level 3. There's no telling. But right now, they are pushing boosters. And so let's take a look at the first story today. COVID-19 positivity rate in Indonesia above WHO standard. The weekly positivity rate of COVID-19 cases in Indonesia has passed the WHO standard of 5%. The positivity rate is the number of confirmed positive cases among the number of tested specimens. On July 12th, the active COVID cases reached 20,000 on that day. That's not new cases, it's the active cases. This increased 4 times from last month's active cases of around 4,000. According to Pak Wiku, who I've talked about many times from the COVID-19 task force, the national task force, he said, we have to pay attention to the increase in active and positive cases, as this means that transmission rate among the public has increased again. So we know the numbers are going up, and how is the government dealing with this? Well, as I said in the last video, Pak Jokowi has said you've got to wear a mask outdoors again, and so that's one. The boosters, pushing the boosters, and well, that's been a problem, and so let's take a look at that. COVID-19 task force, booster vaccination coverage stagnates. So Pak Wiku, again, he's in the news a lot. The government spokesperson for COVID-19 handling, Pak Wiku, said that the booster vaccination coverage in the country is stagnating. He said data shows that coverage rate in 28 provinces is still below 30%. The good news is Bali is the highest in Indonesia at 58%, so still not where the government wants to get. The government wants to get up to 80%, and well, we got a long way to go here. In other places, even longer. Pak Wiku underlined that booster jabs are very important to maintain people's immunity against the coronavirus. Moreover, new variants, namely BA4 and BA5, and there's a new one I'm going to talk about in a couple of segments to come, dominate up to 81% of COVID-19 variants. So we've got BA4 and BA5 here, and they are the dominant variants now. Pak Wiku emphasized that the government's made efforts to provide vaccination centers in each region, and public announcements are being made every day now about places to get vaccinated in Bali. And the government's hoping that everybody's going to take this seriously and they're going to go out and be disciplined in terms of following the health and safety protocols, and that they will get boosted. Pak Wiku said if those two things are carried out, collectively, Indonesia can achieve a high public resilience and health. Home Affairs Minister Pak Tito issued a circular on Monday, the 11th, urging regional leaders to accelerate booster vaccinations in their region. So a number of people that I've talked to, and definitely not a scientific sampling, but they said, we don't need it, it's done, so it's a few cases, it's up, but it's like the flu, so who really cares? Nobody's dying anymore, and nobody's going to the hospital, so what's the need for another shot? The government is pushing this, and so as I mentioned the other day, one of the ways that they push this, like they did when they first started with the shots number 1 and 2, was to say, if you don't get shot, don't come to a government office looking for help. And we got that message the other day when we needed to renew the STN card for my youngest daughter's motorcycle. They said, you don't have a booster, don't come here looking for help. And so let's take a look at this segment. Indonesians urged to take booster shots to access public facilities. And Pak Wiku, again, in this segment, Pak Wiku urged people to take the third dose or the booster vaccination without further ado in order to access public facilities. So, carrot and the stick, right? Well, I haven't seen a carrot, but there's a lot of sticks coming out. Pak Wiku said immediately visit the nearest vaccination center for a booster. The policy that mandates booster vaccination to access public facilities will be applied along with the issuance of Task Force Circulation Letter number 21 and number 22, which I talked about the other day. And links to those are down below. And if you don't know where to get a booster, Pak Wiku said, use Google Maps. You can figure out where it is. No problem. He added, people can also visit health facilities owned by the government, such as hospitals and puskesmases, public health centers, as well as several private hospitals and public facilities. He said, taking the vaccination has 3 major benefits in principle. Prevents infections, prevents exacerbation of symptoms when infected, and reduces the number of viruses circulating in the body to hinder transmission. Now, BA5 is said to be a very sneaky mutant. It's been able to evade the immunities, the vaccinations, and immunity that you picked up if you've had COVID already or from your shots. How is it responding to booster shots? I don't know. Pak Wiku also took the opportunity while he was talking to remind people once again to continue to comply with health protocols and not to panic. I don't know, this panic thing is always in there. I don't know anybody that's panicking. If you want to get into Indonesia, I'll say this one more time, you do not have to have a booster to get into the country. It doesn't make any difference where you come in. If you come in through Java, if you come in through Bali, if you come in through Manado, wherever you come in, you don't need to have the booster shot. If you want to travel domestically, you do. And vaccination center is being put up at the airport, I think for the domestic terminal, but it's only for Indonesian citizens. So if you're a foreigner, you need to be boosted before you get here. Unless, of course, you have a KTP or a KITAS. And I don't know about if you've got a B211, but at the airport, according to the article that I read just a short time ago, it said only for Indonesian citizens at this point at the airport. You can travel with fully dosed, but you have to have an antigen test if you're fully dosed or a PCR test. The antigen test no more than 24 hours, 1 times 24 before departure. If you have the booster, you're going to be good to go. And so if I was coming here and I wanted to access stuff and travel, I would get the booster. But that's just me. According to Health Ministry spokesperson Muhammad Sahril, the booster vaccination will become a condition for people to conduct activities in the public space. The public space that he meant includes public vehicles, large-scale meetings, shopping centers, malls, and hotels. Okay, so best to have the booster. And what is happening around Asia? Numbers. Yesterday, Japan, 90,000. Korea, 40,000. Numbers are going up. U.S. is what, around 100,000? So we're seeing these numbers. Australia, what, I think somebody told me the other day it was 40,000. So we're seeing numbers go up all over. That's from BA4, BA5, more transmissible, right? Not that serious from what reports are. The number of deaths down, number of intensive care unit patients down. But people are getting sick and they're not going to work. And so there's an economic impact. And here, if our numbers continue to spike, somebody said the other day, just let it go, you know. Well, the numbers go up here. Indonesia from the get-go has been cautious about this. If the numbers go up, we're liable to move down to level 2 or level 3. And what's that going to do? Well, it's going to screw up schooling for one thing. And my granddaughter missed almost 2 years of school. And she's back now. We're working on trying to catch her up along with everybody else here. I do not want to see her go back to online schooling, which is just not working in Indonesia. And if the numbers go up, some people will not come here, and we may see more restrictions. People need to follow the government's plan. Indonesian government has been pretty good about this, and we're still doing okay. You come here, you're expected to wear a mask, and wear a mask. And so what about Korea? Korea confirms first case of new heavily mutated Omicron variant. So Korea's new coronavirus cases more than doubled in a week to near 40,000. It was actually 39,000 and change yesterday. As the country has experienced a resurgence of infections amid the fast spread of a highly contagious new Omicron subvariant. That's the BA5. The BA5 subvariant expected to become a dominant variant in Korea soon, and it is here, as I mentioned in a previous segment, as its proportion of the total infections has grown to reach 35% last week from 28% a week earlier. BA5 is known to be more contagious and better able to escape immunity compared with earlier versions. And here is the kicker. Adding to woes is that Korea confirmed its first case of a new highly mutated Omicron variant, BA2.75. I have not even heard of this one until I read this article. A man in his 60s in the western city of Intaran was found to have been infected with the subvariant, and contact tracing is underway in Korea right now. Supposedly, the person that was infected has not traveled overseas recently. BA2.75 is dubbed Centaurus and was first sequenced in India in May. And the cases have been found in around 10 nations, including the US, Australia, Germany, and India. Some scientists say it could be the most contagious variant yet seen, and better evade any immunity from previous infections and vaccines. So this is not good news. Boy, when it rains, it pours. So we're dealing with the BA5, and now we've got BA2.75, and that is in Asia, right? In India, Australia. I don't know if anybody from Australia, the majority of people watching this channel are from Australia. Anything about BA2.75 in Australia? Leave a comment, please. Thank you. Okay, enough of depressing COVID news. Let's look at some other stuff. Reject LNG in Mangroves. Residents of Intaran, Geruduk, Bali Governor Office. So residents of Intaran traditional village stormed, it says, the Bali governor office. I actually didn't, it's not like what happened in Sri Lanka. They did not storm it, jump in the swimming pool. Well, the governor's office doesn't have a swimming pool, well, as far as I know. The people held demonstrations to reject the plan to build a special terminal for liquefied natural gas, LNG, in the mangrove area. And I talked about this in the last video, the surfers protest. This is a very hot topic in Bali right now. The LNG and the development of all the port facilities down in that area, down in Benoa and around Sanur. Coastline is changing and the ocean is changing. So the demonstrators paraded around. They massed in front of the Balinese governor's office. They made speeches and they had a parade and they had barong and rangda dances. Okay, entertainment as well. Protesters are questioning the ambiguity of the location of the LNG terminal construction in the mangrove area. This is because Bali's governor and PT Dewata Energy Bersih are considered to have delivered different information regarding the location of the LNG terminal. This demonstration is not the first time that residents from Intaran indigenous village have been out protesting. Previously, they've taken the streets several times protesting the LNG terminal. And you can hook that up with rupiah 1.2 trillion in PMN to flow into Bali Maritime Tourism Hub. So PT Pelabuhan Indonesia, Pelindo, will optimize the utilization of 1.2 trillion rupiah in funds from state equity participation, that's the PMN, to develop the Bali Maritime Tourism Hub, BMTH, always initials, always acronyms here, at Benoa Harbor. So this is going to be happening at Benoa. The development of the BMTH will have a direct economic impact on local governments, the central government, and the community, according to Corporate Secretary of State-run Port. The impact will include, according to him, the generation of local tax revenue, foreign exchange income from foreign tourists, and encourage the growth of micro, small, and medium enterprises. That's the MSME that I talk about a number of times. So the company is not only focusing on the development of facilities on land, but also expediting the construction of infrastructure in the sea, especially the anchorage and ship lanes. The BMTH is expected to serve cruise ships measuring up to 350 meters in length, which can carry up to 6,000 passengers. Oh wow, they're gonna have this open for these huge numbers of people. I am so glad I don't live down south. We will continue, the corporate secretary said, to accelerate the dredging of anchorage and ship lanes in the area concurrently with the construction of facilities on land. So, massive projects here. It is going to change that coastline. The anchorage and ship lanes will be dredged to minus 12 meters low water spring from minus 9 meters low water spring. Thus, he said, we hope that it will be able to accommodate the bigger cruise ships. The second phase of the dredging project has been divided into two projects, Project A, Project B. Project A is 13% finished, Project B 30.8% finished, and the Benoa Cruise Terminal of Benoa Harbor as the main part of BMTH is projected to become the largest cruise ship berth in Indonesia and possibly in Asia. Wow, Bali has changed so much in 32 years. The Benoa Cruise Terminal is also planned to be turned into a maritime tourism center equipped with a yacht marina, yacht club, theme park, and sports facilities. Let's bring Disneyland to Bali. Oh, God. And there will also be other supporting facilities, including LNG terminal, right, which I just talked about in the previous one, liquid cargo storage, wet berth, dry berth, Bali fish market, as well as a MSME center. And this monster development is targeted to be completed by mid-time next year, so about a year from now. And I expect there'll be more protests coming up over that period. And foot and mouth disease. Okay, I've had some questions from Australians about foot and mouth disease, and I was reading some stuff on social media, more incorrect information. There was talk about this and people are saying, oh, well, you know, Australia's trying to, some people in Australia are trying to get Bali banned for tourists right now because of this, because they're afraid it's going to come into Australia. And other people said, oh, well, Indonesia doesn't have it and Bali doesn't have it. Well, yes, we do have foot and mouth disease, and we've got it right here in Bulaling. Cows undergo health checks before conditional slaughter. This week, the Bulaling Regency government will carry out conditional slaughter of cows with foot and mouth disease. Until now, the government's having trouble finding butchers to cut up the cows. Bulaling Secretary Gede Siasa said, in accordance with the director of the Bali Province PMK, that's the Foot and Mouth Disease Task Force, cattle infected with FMD must immediately be subjected to conditional slaughter. But at the moment, they can't get any butchers to slaughter them because the butchers want to buy them cheap, and the farmers don't want to sell them cheap. Farmers are saying, hey, our cows are in good shape. We want good price. The Denpasar Veterinary Center plans to conduct a PCR test on cows that have the potential for FMD symptoms. If the cows are negative, no problem. They don't need to be slaughtered. If they are positive, they need to be slaughtered. And it says conditionally slaughtered. I'm not exactly sure what conditionally slaughtered means. Paksiasa said currently most of the cases of foot and mouth disease are found in Geruduk. Okay, it's down that way, with 153 cases. Previously in Lokapaksa village, Suririt, 28 cows were found with FMD. And so they're still waiting for butchers. And there's a butcher apparently from Karangasem who will provide reasonable price when he buys the cows from the farmers, and so they're waiting for him to be freed up to come in. And Paksuyasa said, if anyone from Bulaling wants to give a fair price, I think it's been completed in 2 days. We have to do this until Friday, so today is the day they're supposed to finish getting the infected cows and slaughtering them. And we'll keep a track on how this is going because this is serious. Additionally, Bulaling Regency government is currently boosting the vaccinations in the red zone area. From the data provided, the current vaccinations have reached 2,300 cows, and they can vaccinate up to 800 cattle a day. No Bulays behaving badly today. Instead, what we've got are Indonesians behaving badly. And I talked about this story, I don't know, 2-3 videos ago about a meeting down in the Kuta Legian area to deal with the issue of these money changers cheating tourists. First segment, there are 2 segments to this. Naughty money changer tricking tourists closed in Legian. Australian tourist became a victim of fraud by an unscrupulous money changer in Jalan Padma Utara. The victim lost 2.2 million rupiahs due to being tempted by the highest exchange value. Yeah, you can't do this. I would think people would know by now, but you can't do this. You can't go to the highest. You've got to go to one that is certified. The incident, which tarnished the tourism image, was reported to Linmas and LPM Legian, to the authorities that are supposed to keep the community protected, and officers immediately closed the money changer permanently, and you can see them in the photo here at the start of the segment. The head of LPM Legian, Iwayan Puspa Negara, and I've talked about him many times, said that fraudulent act by one of the owners of the money changer occurred Tuesday afternoon. At that time, a middle-aged woman from Australia exchanged US dollars, apparently about $800, because she was tempted by the money changer's billboard that had a high rate on it. But when she got her money and counted it up, it didn't add up. So there was the difference of 2.2 million, and so she was complaining, which got some local residents apparently heard it. Maybe she was very loud, it sounds like. They came and they called the authorities because people do not want that area to continue to get a bad reputation for things, well, like money changers, cheating people, and a number of other things that happened down in that area. Puspa Negara explained that when they learned of the incident, they immediately closed and revoked the electricity supply. They turned off the lights. And he admitted that he made efforts to mediate so that both parties would make peace, so that the image of tourism in Legian is not tarnished due to the actions taken by an unscrupulous owner. He said the money changer and the tourists made peace, but they reported to Bank of Indonesia anyway because they needed to have this investigated because they want to get this stopped, and that's what I had talked about before. But place is still open, right? And I mentioned that before too. There have been other attempts over the years, and this has been going on since I've been here 32 years, 33 years next month on Independence Day, in the Indonesian Independence Day. Yes, that would be my 33rd anniversary in Indonesia. Anyway, so this has been going on, and they close the places down and they open up. It's like pulling weeds. You pull the weeds, they come back a couple days later. Okay, so they closed down this one shop, but apparently it has stimulated some more action. 16 money changers in Kuta are sealed. Seems like the authorities down in Kuta and Legian do not want to mess with a good thing, with all the tourists streaming back and going into bars and restaurants and hotels and buying stuff. Bank Indonesia and Kuta's traditional village sealed 16 money-changing businesses across the Kuta area. The sealing had to be done because the place of business did not have a complete business license. Kuta's customary Bandesa, Wayan Wasista, and I've mentioned him before, said that involvement of the United Kuta lawyers is an effort to fortify Kuta from illegal money changers, as well as efforts to maintain the image of Kuta's tourism area. Because so far there have been many findings of naughty behavior from illegal money changers that tarnish Kuta's image as an international tourism destination. Pakwasista said, "I emphasize the Kuta Traditional Village has never prohibited people from doing business as long as it's done according to the applicable rules and regulations. This step is not prohibiting but protecting Kuta, which we love, from negative things. Please try, obey the rules, and complete the permissions. If it's incomplete, it's the same thing as illegal." They are going to be carrying out inspections, including the TNE, the military, the police, the Satpol, community organizations. They got people mobilized here. They'll be carrying out operations at least twice a week at certain times, not to be announced. So they're going to be doing raids on places to see if they're open and they're operating illegally. He said the first inspection was carried out on Jalan Kartika Plaza and Jalan Pantai Kuta. At that time, no sealing of the businesses was carried out. Only business rate boards were taken away. In the second inspection, sealing was carried out, and it was carried out in Jalan Legian and Jalan Kartika Plaza. And so if you're down there, you may have seen some of these, like tape sealing places up. If you have, leave a comment. If you got a photo, share it. Well, I don't know how you would do that actually. But if you've seen something happening down there in terms of the illegal money changers, leave a comment. Interested to see how that happens. And that is it. This is Friday. There will not be a cooking video this Sunday because I'm making changes. I'm splitting off my wife's cooking videos into a separate channel, into one that is more Indonesian focused, in order to get some more Indonesians watching her channel. You can still watch that. I will still be translating along with that, but it's going to be much more heavily Indonesian focused. And so cooking videos will be back again next week. And if I have time, I will put a Singaraja Snippets up on Sunday instead. Otherwise, I'll be back on Monday. So if you found this video helpful, useful, informative, scintillating, non-irritating, amusing, hilarious, I would appreciate a thumbs up. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Videos are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And there will always be a link to my wife's cooking videos, which will be on Sunday, but on a different channel. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Stay safe. And I will see you on Monday.